Hello everyone, welcome to English Sucker. Let's look at the line by line explanation, part 1 of the first chapter of Literature Reader, Hornbill, The Portrait of a Lady by Khushwant Singh. Brief introduction about the author. Khushwant Singh had a lifespan from February 2nd, 1915 to March 20th, 2014. He was a renowned Indian author, lawyer, diplomat, journalist and politician. His Train to Pakistan book that was published in the year 1956 became his most well-known novel. Moreover, a film was produced in the year 1998 on the same book, that is A Train to Pakistan. Story introduction. The portrait of a lady. In other words, the pen picture of a lady. This story is autobiographical as this is the story of the author. Here he describes the strong bond of relationship with his grandmother that developed, that evolved with the passage of time. He pens down her daily activities and how she evolved into a character with the passage of time. He explains her appearance and her character, which helps the reader to create an image about the grandmother. The story starts like this. In the story, we see that the author tells us that his grandmother was like everybody's grandmother, old and wrinkled and old woman, and she had always been old and wrinkled for the 20 years he had known her. But whenever people would tell him, people means his family members and other people of the village would tell him that there was a time when his grandmother was young and pretty, and moreover she had a husband. So this thought was hard for the author to believe. This fact about his grandmother was difficult for him to believe, because since his childhood, since the time he came into his senses, he had always seen his grandmother terribly old. So this was the time when he had such kind of thoughts about his grandmother. He had already spent just 20 years of the life. So this was the view of the author about his grandmother, that he found it hard to believe that she was ever young and beautiful. Similarly, what was his opinion about his grandfather? When he was born, his grandfather was already no more. He had already passed away. So whatever he knew about his grandfather, he just learned through the family members and other people of the village, and more importantly, with the help of a portrait that was hung above the mantelpiece, or a kind of platform, or a kind of structure that is made above or around a fireplace, generally made up of stone, wood or metal. So there was a portrait of his grandfather in the drawing room, and how did his grandfather look in that portrait, and that helped the author to make a kind of image about him. He wore a big turban or a large head covering, or a large cap like the Punjabis wear, the pagdi, and loose fitting clothes, maybe perhaps a kurta pajama. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest, and he looked at least 100 years old. So the kind of appearance that he had in that photograph just suggested that he was extremely old person, and he did not look a kind of person who would have a wife or children. He looked as if he could only have lots and lots of grandchildren. And similarly, as far as his grandmother was concerned, as far as her being young and pretty was concerned, this thought that she was ever young and pretty was almost revolting or unacceptable to the author. The reasons being that since his childhood he had always seen his grandmother terribly old, and she was never young and beautiful. So the innocence of a small child is brought out here. Later on, with the passage of time, the author realized what kind of childish views he had about his grandmother, that she could never be young or pretty. How could it be possible? Every person goes through different phases of life. That seemed quite absurd. So she often told them the stories about her own childhood, that when she was a child she used to play all sorts of games that her grandchildren now play. So even they would not believe such kind of information given by the grandmother, and as such kind of information would seem very much absurd and illogical and disrespectful or undignified as far as grandmother was concerned. So all the grandchildren, especially Khushwant Singh, they had kept their grandmother on somewhat higher pedestal, and they had very higher image about her. So how could she just lead life like ordinary being? So whenever such information will be given that they would find absurd and undignified, they'll just treat such information like the same stories she used to tell them, fables of with moral lessons and spiritual lessons, fables of prophets or saints she used to tell them. So they would certainly not believe. This is Khushwant Singh's grandmother, an epitome of peace and contentment. Now, she had always been. Now, in this paragraph, we learn the author gives us a brief introduction about her physical appearance and what were her physical characteristics due to old age and her daily routine. She had always been short and fat and slightly bent. Her face was a crisscross of wrinkles running from everywhere to everywhere. No, and as soon as this image comes of his grandmother comes in front of him, he would not at all believe that she was ever young and beautiful. She was always old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older, and had stayed at the same old age for the last 20 years. So he finally concludes that she could never have been pretty, but she was always beautiful. This sentence must be noted down, that on one hand the author tells us that she was never pretty, but she was always beautiful. So in the first part, the author tells us that as far as physical beauty or charm is concerned, according to him, he thinks that she was never that beautiful, but on the basis of the character, the person, the heart of the grandmother, he considers that she was always a beautiful person, a divine, a spiritual person. So her daily routine would include, she would hobble about the house, just walk from one part of the house to other part, wearing a spotless white, perhaps salwar kurta, with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop or her bent posture and to give a kind of support, and the other hand she would use to tell the beads of her rosary. Rosary is a kind of a string of beads. Generally the beads are made of tulsi or rudraksh, and rosary is used to count the number of God's names and prayers. So her silver locks, as she was old, she was not able to keep all the time herself tidy and kempt. Her locks, grey hair would scatter untidily over her dull pale face, puckered face, contracted cheeks or face due to wrinkles all over her face. And her lips, on the other hand, would constantly, continuously, incessantly move in inaudible prayer. So these few lines suggest that the grandmother was extremely religious person. She had religious inclination, a spiritual inclination. Yes, whenever this figure of the grandmother comes in front of him, he cannot deny from the fact that yes, indeed she was very beautiful. She was like the winter landscape in the mountains, an expanse of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. See, the author says that she was always a beautiful person, and he compares the grandmother with winter landscape, or the landscape during winter season in mountainous areas. Or the entire area, the wide area covered with snow, and representing or symbolizing peace and serenity, calmness and contentment, satisfaction. So according to the author, the grandmother was an embodiment of all these qualities that make her, these qualities make her beautiful. Now, in this next paragraph, the author comments on the beautiful phase of the most beautiful phase of their life, that was in the village when the grandson was lived with his grandmother. As his parents left to the city to try their luck, to get settled down there, and this was the phase when there was a strong friendship between the two. His parents left him with her when they went to live in the city, and they were constantly together. She used to wake him up just like a mother. She would take care of him, very caring and very affectionate. And these qualities of grandmother have been brought out here. She used to wake him up in the morning and get him ready for the school, and she would say all her morning prayer in a monotonous or dull sing-song rhythmic way, while attending to all her work like bathing the author, dressing him up for the school. Why? In the hope that he would listen and learn all the prayers properly, and get them learned by heart. Yes, of course, the author would listen to all those prayers and songs because he loved the voice of his grandmother, but he never bothered to learn those prayers. And then, before leaving for the school, she would bring his wooden slate, which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, and tiny earthen ink pot will also be brought by her with a red pen, and she would tie all these articles together in a bundle and hand that bundle over to the author. And before leaving for the school, she would give a breakfast of a thick, stale, not freshly made chapati with a little butter and sugar spread on it, and then they would together go to the school. And while going for the school, she would carry several other chapatis, stale chapatis, with her for the village dog. So through this paragraph we learn that of course there was a strong friendship and love and strong bond between these two persons, and the grandmother appears extremely religious and caring and affectionate towards the author, and moreover she emerges out as a benevolent, kind personality as she takes chapatis for the village dogs too. Now, in the next part, the author tells us why would the grandmother accompany him to the school. His grandmother always went to the school with him because the school was attached to the temple. She was a religious person. The priest would teach all the students the alphabet and morning prayer, and the students will sit in rows on both the side of the veranda, singing the alphabet or the prayer in a chorus or group form. And on the other hand, the grandmother would sit inside the temple reading the scriptures, the holy books like Ramayana or Bhagavad Gita. And after the class would get over, both of them together will walk back to their house, and on the way back to their home they would find the village dogs at the door of the temple, and the dogs would follow them to their homes, growling and fighting with each other for the chapatis they threw to them. Now, the next turning point, the author talks about is the turning point that came in their friendship. So finally, when the author's parents were comfortably settled in the city, they sent for us, they called for them, they wished the grandmother and their son to live with them in the city, and that was a turning point in our friendship. Turning point is a crucial point that brings significant changes in things and circumstances. So let's see what kind of changes occur in the friendship of Khushwant Singh and his grandmother. Although we shared the same room in the city, his grandmother no longer came to school with him, as the school was very far off located, and he used to go to the English school in a motor bus. There were no dogs in the streets, and she took to feeding sparrows in the courtyards of their city house. She started feeding the sparrows. Now, as the years rolled by, with the passage of time, the grandson became very much busy with his school schedule, tight schedule, his all other works, and he could hardly find time to talk to his grandmother. So they would see less of each other. And let's see how did the grandmother cope up with all these changing circumstances. For some time she continued to wake him up and get him ready for school, and when he would come back she would ask about what the teacher had taught him, and when he would tell her all English words and little things of Western science and learning. For example, the law of gravity, Archimedes' principle, the world being around, etc. And all these subject matters will not please the grandmother. This made her unhappy, and moreover she could not help him with his lessons, and she did not believe in the things the teachers taught at the English school, and she was moreover very much disappointed when she learned that there was no teaching about God and scriptures. And the other day the things became worse for the grandmother when the other day the author returned from the school, and very excitedly he informed all the family members in the presence of grandmother as well that they are being given music lesson in the school. So she was very much upset with this. She got perturbed, disturbed. Why? Because she had a very negative opinion about learning music lessons. According to the grandmother, music had lewd association or vulgar association, not decent. She didn't consider music a decent subject for gentle person. It was according to her, it was the monopoly, the work or one and only work of harlots or prostitutes, or the women who remain engaged in immoral work for earning. So for harlots and beggars, and music is not meant for gentle folk. This was the viewpoint of the grandmother. And so when she learned this, that her grandson was being given music lessons, how did she react? She didn't say anything. She just kept silence. But the author understood. Now at this point we learn that the author also had a good understanding for his grandmother, as he could understand that the grandmother was not happy. So her silence meant disapproval or disagreement. So then onwards she just really talked to him, especially on the subject matters that were taught in the school. Now with this we come to the end of today's first part of detailed explanation, and these are this is vocabulary section, and important words have been chosen here with their meanings, and at some places synonyms have been provided. This is a must read section. If you read and study the words properly, you will definitely enrich your vocabulary skills. You can take a screenshot or you can pause the video to study. Thank you so much.